Bam! Welcome back to the Yeti Set Cook. This is going to be part 2 of our pizza adventure. If you missed out on the first one, go check it out and see how we got up to this point. This week we're going to be fixing up and cleaning up from last week. We are going to start the lime plaster, we're going to fill all the cracks that we can, and finally we're going to paint the base all stylish like. Let's start by tidying up the yard. First we need to move all of this sand to behind the shed, but don't worry, it'll all get used up in the pizza oven or we'll use it in the garden. I needed to dump one bucket of sand out so that we have somewhere to soak the lime plaster. The other big mess that we have is this top. I've used it to make all of the cob, and I've used it kind of as a strap tossing area. So I need to go through, clean out the trash, and I need to dump all of this leftover mud behind the shed. Also, for anyone curious, here is the hole I've dug for all of the clay. This of course will get filled with rocks and sand and any leftover dirt. And boy, I am tired of moving all this heavy sand around. Next up, let's get started on the lime. This is probably the biggest uncertainty I have with this project. I think that type S hydrated lime is the correct type, and I hear it needs to be soaked for a long time before it gets used. It's also very caustic, so protection is necessary. I dumped as much as I could into this bucket, and I covered it with water. Over the course of an hour, I topped off the water and used this wood to mix it in all the way down. The next day, I came back and I added more lime, so that the lime was just sitting underneath the water level. This will soak for a couple weeks, and afterwards I will mix it in separate buckets with sand to make the plaster. Going back out to the oven, I removed some sand from the back, and I added cob to make this back part more stable and ready for plaster. The cracks on the inside are a big pain. I can't quite reach, and I can't really see them. All I can do is reach in and feel around and try and find the biggest ones and stuff them the best I can. This means I'm able to repair the major cracks quite easily, but the little ones are almost impossible. So over the course of this oven's lifetime, I'll keep an eye on the little ones, and if they ever develop any bigger, I will build them up. On inspection of the outer cracks, I found the connector between the dome and the arch to be completely fractured and loose. It would have to be redone. So I removed all the fractured parts of cob and brushed out all the loose material. I sprayed what was left with water every 15 minutes 3 times to help the new cob stick to what was there. I tore a piece of cardboard to act as a support so that we wouldn't have to build up the whole arch again. For this mix of cob, I added straw just as we did to the outer layer so that it would have more tensile strength and resist cracking anymore. I stuffed this in as tight and compact as I could. I'm super happy with how this has turned out. It feels much stronger, and I believe it's going to hold up for much longer. Lastly, we have these tiny cracks along the side and the top. The top cracks had a couple wisps of smoke come out, so I patched these up the best I could with the cob, and these ones on the side had just browned. They didn't smoke or anything. So I've left these open so I can investigate them further. Finally, let's get painting. We unlocked the oven and moved it to the side so that we could get this top down to protect the patio. Moving this oven is a little tricky, it's heavy, but it's definitely possible. And since this will only move between the patio and the garage a couple of times a year, it shouldn't be a problem. I had some leftover paint from other projects, and we used this to paint the base. So let's crack it open and give it a good stir. And yes, I did eventually learn to open the big lid to stir it better. So I grabbed my tray and my roller and just got down to it. Sadly, I needed a small brush to do fine detailed work, and the only thing I happened to have on hand was my pastry brush. So it sacrificed itself and has painted its last pastry. You will never be forgotten. Beyond that, there's not too much to note here, it's just painting. And bam! I quite liked the color. I added a second coat and patched up any rough spots. I'm really happy with this. I feel like it makes it look a little bit more professional. Next week, you're gonna see us fire up this oven and cook some pizzas and maybe some s'mores in it. So hit that subscribe button and like so you don't miss out on the next episode. And as always, thanks for watching, it means a lot to me.